it is like being in this space, it kind of does bring back some of those old wounds. But I think that when you, like you were talking about the podcasting community, when you align with those right people, it makes everything that you've been through, over everything that you've overcome and that you're going through, and you've, all of that, it makes it worth it. And it's just something that it doesn't define your worth. That's the big thing that I want people to know is if somebody doesn't see your worth, it doesn't mean that you don't have worth. It means that they don't see your worth. And that's a them problem. And a big thing that we do, especially me as a people pleaser, recovering people pleaser, I'll say, is making other people's problems my problems. We don't, this isn't an agency here. We don't have to adopt their shit. They have their
Right?
shit, we have our shit, and you don't have to make other people's shit your shit. So,
Emotionally unavailable.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to have you on. Hope you're doing well. I sure loved being on your show. I was looking at your profile because I was like, well, what's the deal here? Um, and I can see now why you felt like my message resonated so much whenever we visited before. Because it sounds like we've had a lot of the same path. The first question I wanted to ask you, I want to get into what your past was, but what I felt really like pulled to was do you feel like you made like the right decisions for the wrong reasons?
mm, do I feel like I made the right decisions for the wrong reasons? That is a powerful question. Um, hmm, gosh. I've never thought about that before. Um,
Well, do you want me to unpack it a little bit? Because the reason I say that I did is
mhm.
because well, like being motivated by spite for me, like I'm going to prove people wrong or prove myself right or whatever. Or not even but and that desire to be seen a certain way and to feel like I was worthy via success. Like, those are not the reasons that we should follow a path. It's the most common reason that we go down a path, but I feel like there has to come a moment where you realize, shit, like I did some things that weren't necessarily bad for me, but the reasons behind them leave me in a place of burnout regardless, you know?
Yeah, I would say yes, I probably did at some point. I mean, we both are honest here, so we're both going to be vulnerable. I'm going to be vulnerable here and just be 1000% honest. Um, I would say for me, a part of some of the reasons why I did some of the things that I did in my past was because I wanted to be seen. And it's because I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel like anybody noticed me. I felt invisible a lot. I felt like, why am I even here? Like, is there a reason why I'm here? So I
Mhm.
feel like I had an unhealthy obsession with being seen, quote unquote, being popular. Um, I
Yes.
don't, I don't know if popular is the right word, but like wanting to be liked by people, wanting to be accepted, wanting to have friends because I didn't
Yeah.
feel like. So for me, I was very within myself. I really described myself as a turtle growing up because I had a shell and I didn't come out of that shell for anything.
Yeah.
Um, so I just feel like the older I got and the more like I kind of slowly kind of dipped my toe into the water to see, okay, what's this going to feel like or how's this going to look or whatever. Um, yeah, I feel like a part of me trying to heal or a part of me trying to unravel some things in my life was to be seen, and well, I'm gonna say that's not the reason to do it at all. But yeah, so yeah, I never thought about that though. So I really appreciate you asking that because um yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Whenever you start to like realize maybe some of the things you've done. I love, first of all, that you are being so honest and vulnerable. Isn't it funny how polar opposite it is to have this deep seated need to be seen and yet fear it with equal amounts of like veracity, you know?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
God. I was just on someone else's show this morning and trying to convey that, like, even I don't know if you're experiencing this, trying to be a guest on other people's shows, going through the fucking rejection process of that, like trying to sell myself. I hate that shit. I want it like, first of all, you're stupid if you say no to me. So there's that. But also, sh- do I give a soulful request? Do I make it businessy? And no matter what, each rejection makes me question it. And I'm okay with that. Like, this is a process and I'm growing through every little rejection. And I really am not taking that as personally as I am. um you get to that place where you say something that is your truth, but then later you're scared that you said it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
it's so scary. So
Yes.
before when I am tired, it is very hard to shut up. I'm just gonna let you know. I'm working overtime to shut up. But I do wonder what was you, because you mentioned in your profile, um a past. What led you, kind of, what were those early days like, and how did you get kind of to the place where you're like, I need a shift?
So my earliest memory of my life is I was 4 years old. I was lying on my grandma and grandpa's couch. It was a holiday. It was either Thanksgiving or Christmas. My mother is the type of woman that she is a hard worker. Like, she works her fucking ass off, and you have to tell her, like, Stephanie, I'm going to say Stephanie here, but mom, have a seat, like, relax, just chill. So she was over at her mother-in-law's house helping her with the probably Thanksgiving dinner is what I'm going to call it, but it may have been Christmas, whatever. So a lot of my extended family on my dad's side, they live in Columbus, and then I live in a smaller city that nobody in the world's heard of. It's about like 2 hours from Columbus, Ohio. So basically my family would come down on the holidays and we would all get together. So anywho, so my mother is like cleaning up after the dinner. She's with my grandmother, my paternal grandmother. They're cleaning up, and the earliest memory that I have is me like I think I was 4 years old. I'm lying on the couch asleep, and my drunk uncle stumbles into the house after a night out. He comes in and he says, "Oh, look at that little faggot sleeping there."
Mm.
And I'm like, "Mommy, what's a faggot?" Like, I'm 4, I don't know what that means. And I didn't feel no, I take that back. I try to be optimistic, but we're gonna be honest here. We're not gonna, sugarcoat it. I started to say that I felt like I probably had a positive reaction. I internally felt like I never felt safe around him ever. There was never a
Yeah.
connection. I could just feel that energy. But when I heard that, I'm like, and I didn't know what that meant. And so we're gonna fast forward to I was 21, I believe. I was in my early 20s. So another Thanksgiving dinner. This time it's at our house. Um, my father, who is no longer with us, my father was a drinker and he had 2 brothers. They also were drinkers. But my father and then this particular uncle that I'm talking about, they were the drinkers. They were the ones that really went hard in the paint.
They were his
Um,
brothers.
Yes. So these
Okay.
are his brothers. So one brother came down for Thanksgiving this year. So just to give context here, so my father's side of the family, he had a big family. So he had 7 siblings altogether.
Okay.
Um, from my grandmother and my grandfather, they had 6 children. So my father is a set of twins. He was the oldest. And then he has 3 sisters and outside of his twin brother, another brother. So there's 3 boys, 3 girls, and then he's got 2 other siblings that were before my grandmother. So this Thanksgiving, I had just graduated nursing school. I was kind of coming into adulthood, and I was a big lesson in my life, or not a big lesson, a big battle that I'm going through to find the lesson or to overcome this stuff is people pleasing. So coming
Yeah.
through all of, what I just shared with you. Um, so long story short, long story long here, I guess. My uncle that called me a faggot growing up acted a fool this Thanksgiving as well.
Mm.
Big shocker there. Um, for a good 10 to 15 minutes. And if you really sit down and think about that, like that doesn't sound like it's that long, but when you're being berated for 10 to 15 minutes
It feels
and
hours. Yeah.
you're kind of shocked, like you're kind of like in a state of you want to speak up for yourself, but you're afraid, like you were just saying, like I want to express myself, I want to show myself, but I'm afraid of just fear, and that's a lot, but the moral of this story is me and my mother were attacked. I was again called a faggot, and I remember that moment. It was almost like That's So Raven when she has a vision and she sees like it zooms in on her eye and it pans out to like this scene, and I suddenly remembered like, oh, completely forgot about that. Like that was locked away, hidden forever, and
Wow.
you know, it brought it back out, and the moral of the story here with everything that I'm sharing, and this is the first time I've ever publicly, like, outside of, like, family and friends, have talked about the family trauma that I've been through. Um, I've been called a faggot so many times that that word should be immune to me. Anytime that somebody attacks me, that's what they say. And then it turns into it was family that called me that word, and then it was also in school. So it was just all the time.
Oh,
Everywhere I turned around, I
yeah.
couldn't escape it. And being a child, being somebody that grew up already afraid and already nervous and like already kind of knowing like, okay, I'm different. So am I really truly safe? Am I accepted? It
Right.
was a lot for me to I was very within myself for a very long time. So the irony of me publicly speaking and me having my own podcast, um, I didn't share my voice or myself with anybody. Um, and then, so that happened, being attacked by this uncle multiple times, and then um, losing my father, and then losing my grandfather, and basically just patterns of familial abuse. I mean, we could talk all day, but my point is, being attacked by family was a big part of my story. And sometimes I used to think, well, I don't want to talk about it because then I'm going to sound like I'm crying or I'm whining and,
Yes,
like I'm
because you've been
complaining.
taught, like all of us, to
Yeah.
minimalize and trivialize your experiences, that somebody else had it worse, that
Yeah.
even there are greater levels of abuse than what you experienced. So I'm glad that you're kind of seeing the paradigm shift here because you have every fucking right to take up your space. You know what I mean? And so I know you
Absolutely.
know that, but I want to validate that. I do have a question.
Mhm.
Were you called this because you are gay, or because at 4 you're not gay? I mean, you are, but you know what I'm saying? Like you're not being called that because you're acting gay when you're 4. Every little 4-year-old boy's gay. I mean, I've had 4-year-old boys, literally. Like, you know what I mean? And God, sexuality is such a spectrum. So, like, that's a whole separate topic. But yeah, okay. So I just didn't want to assume, So
Well, I
okay.
really appreciate that actually, because the more you assume, right? Um, but yes, I mean, I am gay. And that was a big part of, I was very, so again, I'm gonna go back to my childhood again.
Yeah,
So
go. Yeah.
I have boy and girl cousins. I have a big, big family, right? So my grandmother and grandfather live right down the street from me. So we were, as toxic as this sounds, we were very close. Like my cousins, like I adored growing up with them. It was like my brothers and sisters. We had so much
Yeah.
fun. And this was a time, in the 90s, back in my day, I could safely walk down the street. I, was able to do that. So I remember just walking down there, and the holidays would, I'd be out of school. They're down at the house, and, we're having a party. We're playing the Sega. We have our own private room watching cartoons. And it was just a good time. But I was closer to my girl cousins than my guy cousins. I
Mhm.
early on was very afraid of everything and myself. I think I was most afraid of myself. I was afraid because I knew it was drilled into me. And I mean, I'm not going to, not that I'm protecting him, but I am gonna say that it was my father. It was drilled into me that you can't play with Barbies, but I loved playing Barbies with my cousins. I mean, that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to fucking have a Barbie and, I
Yeah.
wanted to just play with my girl cousins. That's what I wanted to do. So, it was always like the elephant in the room, like, is Kevie gay or, you know, just talking
Well,
shit about a
and for some
child.
people, having a gay child is the worst thing you can have. Besides, like, some women having a fat child is the worst thing you can have, but, like, there are men who, if you have a
Well,
gay child, that's the worst it gets.
and let's also add this into the fire too. In a black household, it's
Right.
it's the abominable sin, like,
Oh,
that's the worst
absolutely,
fucking
for
thing
so
in the
many
world.
reasons, but masculinity being the
Yes.
biggest, I feel from a white perspective, and that probably isn't even fair for me to say, but from the things that I have seen culturally, it's a
Yes.
masculinity problem and
Yes.
it's very
So,
toxic, yeah,
it was very
and
tro
but
Mhm.
I think that it speaks truly to all of us and all of what parents go through when they haven't dealt with their own subconscious internalized shame about anything because you're now a reflection and an extension of me, and holy fuck, if I have a gay kid and anybody knows about that, oh my god. So yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot. So, I mean, early on, I was just very, like, trying to hide it, trying to
Sure.
present masculine and trying to it was a big thing. I didn't publicly and l I just want first of all, there's a couple things I wanna highlight here, and there's a couple things I wanna make clear. My mother is an angel. My mother is a godsend. Like, she protected the hell out of me. She bought me that damn Barbie. She didn't give a shit that I played with my girl cousins. And my father, I don't want it to sound like he was
He
his
did his
side of the
best.
family
Yeah.
his side of the family definitely bullied me and put me through a lot, but the worst thing
But
that
he
he did was he
probably
didn't.
experienced very similar things.
Yes, he just didn't want me to have a Barbie. I mean, he was a man and, that it was just it was complicated, but there was a long time that I tried to hide it and I was very uncomfortable expressing myself or that was another issue that I had connecting with people. So that was a very early
Yeah.
determining traumatic thing.
Well,
Um,
God, I mean, you wanna be seen, but there's so much of you that you can't show because it's not safe. I mean, let's be real. Well, I guess I don't know how much safer it is now for gay teens, honestly, with the shit I see, but it was a little different in the '90s, and, I mean, it was not as
there's a
widely
lot
as
more examples
accepted.
now. There's
Yeah,
a lot more
and you
representation.
exactly. At least if you didn't have acceptance, you did have representation now, but then we kinda had neither. I mean, I don't remember how old you are, but I graduated in 1998. So late '90s, it started to become okay for girls to be bi in high school. That was kind of, like, accepted, but otherwise,
Mhm,
it was pretty bad, and depending, like, on how small your town was, and I think Ohio is considered the Midwest as well, right? Like,
mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
so, I mean, kinda similar demographics. But, yeah, I think, I love that you can hold 2 perspectives about, like, your dad because, he was like every other dad in that generation, first of all,
Mhm.
and he probably had his own issues with people pleasing, or else he would have never let his brothers talk to you like that, ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that,
Mhm.
and I was just talking to my husband about that last night, about some shit that he didn't defend me over with his family, and I mean, I've let it go because it is what it is, but, I was like, that's because like, you're so adverse to conflict, right? And nobody I'm saying this as a 45-year-old, nobody then had this information. I mean, not in the West anyway, you know? So yeah, I mean, I like that you can say he did what he could with what he had at the time to give. But also what a profound impact it had on you, identity, safety. I mean, we can't be honest in any
Mhm.
capacity if there's not safety present.
Absolutely.
I love too that your mom was like, "We can have a Barbie shit." But I mean, I try to imagine what identity issues like this are like in childhood because I know for me, I don't know that I've talked a lot about this on here, but so I was super sexually abused a few times by babysitters, right? Well, because of that, I had a lot of like, oh, I f I had a physical response to that, like, feeling aroused at a much younger age than my peers, whatever. So,
Mhm.
I'll be doing shit with the neighbor kids, which I think is actually kind of normal, but, like, this was, like, to the extreme, right? There like, we were far beyond experimenting, and it was like, "No, no, let's do that for sure," you know? But because I did that stuff with other girls, there wasn't a lot worse in my household than to be gay. So, like, I remember and plus I'm, like, getting all this religious influence. I remember praying to not be gay. Like, I was like, "Oh my god,
Listen.
can I please
Mm.
not be gay?" And,
Mhm.
like, I would call myself bisexual now if I mean, like, I'll do shit with girls, but, like, I wouldn't necessarily want, like, romance with women. So that's why I'm like, I don't know that it's fair to call myself bisexual, but I've done plenty of shit with women, like, whatever, and I don't give a fuck about that now, but, oh my god, I was scared to say that for a long time.
Yeah. Mhm.
So you were, like, sitting around like, "Please don't let me be gay."
Oh my god. We could have a whole episode about me just praying to God. Yeah, I mean, it and it's very I don't even know how to say this. Well, what you said, sexuality, excuse me, I can't even talk. Sexuality is on a spectrum. And I mean, there has been many nights in high school me crying my eyes out like I don't want to be this. I don't want to even be here. Like why did you
Mhm.
create me like this? Like it was a lot. Um, and there's a lot of people again, you said having deep experiences with like religion and that. So there was a lot of I will say that I heard a lot of times like you can't be gay. Um, God
Mhm.
will not love you or God does not accept that or, whatever their
Yeah,
version
yeah,
of that
yeah, we've
was.
all heard it, yeah.
Um, but I will say right now that I understand better, there's a reason why I am who I am and why I'm here. I do believe that a part of my story and a part of my purpose is to break those molds. Like you can be gay and love God, and God loves me. That's the real tea there. That's what people really
It's
don't
not just
understand.
like,
Yeah,
you can be this whole thing.
like God actually does love me, and like it's this big whole thing about like it's the worst sin in the world, and but really all sins are
It's
equal,
so
and
stupid.
it's just there's a lot that we could. I'm not gonna go there, but yes,
Yeah.
there
No,
was a
I feel
lot.
you on that, and that's really truly for myself, I've completely left religion, but I remember growing up and having a friend who was very, very homophobic from her religious teachings as well as racist, and believed wholeheartedly that God called us to not be in interracial relationships. And I remember I was just thinking about this the other day, and I remember kinda going along with it because I was being taught the same shit, so I was like, "Eh," and plus, god damn, I fuck my Gemini ass who would just like, "Sure, people pleasing, like, whatever you say, I agree with. Whatever
Mm,
you say, I agree with." That was a struggle for a lot of years, but, kind of getting, like, where my own, like, inner stirring was like, "Let's maybe not act like we're okay with that." anymore. And there was a couple in ninth grade. I'll never forget these kids. I remember the girl's name was Ginger. I don't remember the boy's name, but they were both friends of mine and they got together, started dating. And I was like, oh, they're so cute, whatever. Cause I really didn't like at that point, I wouldn't still because I was told that if I brought a black person home, I would be disowned because that's how cool my family is. Um, so like I wasn't gonna make that choice, but it was nice to watch other people make that choice. And I remember like celebrating it. And then she was like, oh, blah, 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 blah about Jesus. And I was like, yeah, I mean, they're really cute though. And that was like the first time that I like actually stepped out away from what I was being taught at home and at church. Cause truly in Oklahoma, there are churches that teach this shit that say interracial marriage is a sin. They go hard on the gay folk, you know that. But like even bringing race into a conversation in religion is fucked up. But kind of just watching the world and way like that was perceived. And I mean, I didn't grow up in like a small town per se, but it was very white, very, very white. And when you apply a lot of those nationalist themes, like it's crazy how much people will use their religion to say, you're not worthy of love and belonging, in essence, is what they're saying. I mean, you can cut through all the hatred and just say, you're saying I'm not even worth the space that I take up.
Well, I can even tell you a quick story about that. So I identify as black, but I'm biracial. I have a black father and a white mother. So I know that all too well
Mhm.
in my family and in school. So I never, this is going to sound really silly, but this is truthful. So it is what it is. Um, I never realized that I was mixed until I was called a half breed in high school. I
Shit,
just
really?
I just never thought about it. Like,
Yeah.
I knew that I had a black father and I knew that I had a white mother. But, I mean,
So his family didn't take issue with the fact that he was with a white woman?
they didn't to me, but before
Okay.
me, yes. Before me, my mother's side of the family had a huge problem with it, and honestly, my dad's side of the family also had some issues as well. To my face, I didn't see a lot of it, but I do know that there was family members on my mother's side, so this is the white
Yeah.
side, that wouldn't come around me that I don't know to this day. Um,
Yep.
and I mean, couldn't give a shit less. It is what it
It'd be
is.
the white folk. Mhm.
But so high school, I don't know. Well, you're a little older than me, so maybe I'm 35. So maybe so I don't know if you remember ICQ or like just I guess we'll say like the AIMs and the Yahoo Messengers and,
Yes.
those type of things. So
Yes.
ICQ was popping in my day. So
Okay.
in the early 2000s, I think this was maybe 2005, I was probably 15. So after school, we would hop on ICQ and we would just be on ICQ, like internet chatting all night with our friends. So I was into like this little argument as a child with one of my friends at the time. Um, don't remember what it was about, but one of her friends messaged me and was like defending her. And it turned into
Of course.
racially motivated very quickly.
Ugh.
So I was called the N word, and
No.
that didn't bother me because I was used to that. But this is where I really had that moment where I was like, oh, I never like it was a moment that I guess I just didn't ever think about it. So basically everything that you're saying, it was told to me like, it was something about trying to use the Bible and, God is against whatever. And then
Yes.
it became, no, not N-word, actually half breed. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. And I knew what he was saying, but I had to
Yeah.
really, it was like a moment where I was like, I've never been called that before. And I never
Well, first
really,
of all, bitch, did your grandpa tell you to say that? Because that's not even like shit people be saying anymore. What
well,
the
and
fuck?
then was telling me like Bible verses that
Uh-huh.
agree with it or whatever. And this is this is how I don't even know how you would describe it, but my parents were home because my mom worked evening shifts, so she just so happened to be off. And I'd said to my mom, because I thought I knew, but it just really wasn't computing to me. And I was like, Mom, what does half breed mean? And she said, Who
Oh
the
my
fuck
god.
said that? Like she was
Yeah.
hot. And my mom doesn't
What?
my mom cusses, but I mean, like, she's very, like, just chill and meek and, like,
He's
just
demure.
yes, it takes a lot to get her riled up. So when she
Yes.
said when I said that, she said, "Who the fuck said that?" And I was like, "Well, someone just called me that on the computer." She goes, "Who?" Like, wanting
That
all the
was it.
information, was pissed. So then I realized, oh, because I just never thought about it. Like, I knew that I was mixed. I don't want to be, ridiculous here and not. I knew, but that was my everyday life. I didn't think anything about it. And then
Well,
when
nobody
I
was, like,
realized,
crucifying you and your family to your face about it, so you had other
no,
identity issues to worry about.
yeah, I mean, I was stuck in the gay battle. I didn't think anything of that. So then I was like,
You
"Oh,
didn't know you
hey,
were double
here's a new
fucked.
battle.
Yes,
Here's
exactly.
something
You're
new
like,
people can call me."
"Damn, I got a
So
new thing unlocked here? Shit."
it was crazy. So, yeah.
Well, you just reminded me, and I think I did tell this story one time because it's one of my biggest sources of shame, but, I forgive myself because I didn't know better, but, I had that racist ass grandma, right? Well, she and other people had taught me to believe that interracial marriage was a sin. My bitch ass tells this girl, now this was the year before my little friends started dating, year or two before. Uh, this poor child is biracial, and I fucking say to her it's a sin. What? It's awful. It's fucking awful. Almost got my ass beat, rightfully so. She should have whooped my ass. But the next day, she comes up to me with a fucking Bible and says, "Show me in the Bible where it says that." Do you think I could do that? And I was like, "Oh, and it was just my grandma said that." You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
that was the first time. Cause then I remember asking a friend, I was like, it says that in the Bible, right? Like the girl that like we all look to for Christian advice, you know? And she was like, "Well, some people interpret this particular verse to mean that." I think she was also racist and so whatever, but she wasn't going to be like letting me go tell this girl what Mindy said, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? But that is rhetoric that is still alive to this day. I know. But I like, well, honestly, I just can't even. The fact that
Well
I was praying away any sort of gayness and can relate to that, I can't even imagine
well, I
adding
think
to it.
I think that that's a great example of that you shouldn't just follow everything that you're taught, that you shouldn't follow everything that you're told. And I think that that's just an example of figure it out for yourself, if
Hmm.
you and you we don't have control over how we're raised, none of us, nobody does, period. So if you were raised by a bigot or if you were raised by a homosexual, I mean, just whatever, like
Yeah,
you don't have control over that. But what you can control is your enlightenment and your awareness as you grow older. And we can't hold people from where they used to be. Let's hold people for where they are now and hold them
right.
accountable. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes. Well, and I will tell you, it took me having my oldest child who's just so much smarter than I am. He's taught me so much, but he's a free thinker. He's a pattern recognizer. Those are not things I was. I was very compliant as I was taught to be. And in compliance, you find complicence. You know what I
mm,
mean? And so what happened was not questioning anything. Like I took every word of the Bible that I did know very literally and was it was a real source of fear for me and always felt like I remember being in college cuz my degree's in social work, pretty inclusive background, right? And I remember wanting to go march for gay rights, but being very afraid I would go to hell for that. Like I wanted like I would vote that way and I would in private conversation say how I felt, but it was like if I go in a movement to support
mm,
that, will I go to hell? I literally kind of had to just start deciding for myself.
mhm.
Maybe I will. Like, I could never say, "That's stupid, you won't go to hell," because I didn't know enough about religion or myself or the world or anything because I really, in some ways, was just still in that trauma bubble, you know?
Yeah.
But I did decide I'll have to take the chance that I'm gonna go to hell, you know? Like, because in my world, this no longer makes sense to have any sort of judgment, not even the love the sinner, hate the sin type of like, I don't want to have hate around this at all. But and then also even just racially, like I want to write this article about um unconscious bias so that people understand why DEI is important
Yeah.
and that is what perpetuates the mediocre white men getting the jobs is unconscious bias. But for me, I remember leaving that racist environment and being 18 years old and out on my own for the first time and not wanting to carry any of those stereotypes with me anymore. But to be very honest, feeling very afraid in the presence of black men. And
Yeah.
so what I had to do to overcome that was like look them in the eye and treat them like a fucking human being
Mhm.
and receive their good energy and just overcome it one black man at a time. Literally, like that's what it took. But I was like, I don't want to interact anymore as if these people aren't human. Like I am afraid and I will own my fear, but I'm not going to act the way I was taught to act anymore. Like I didn't have that hatred, but I didn't want it to be I wanted everyone to be a human to me, you know? And not in the fucking colorblind way that some people like that would I wanted to acknowledge what was actually happening in this country. You know what I'm saying? Anyway,
Yeah, and kudos to you for doing that work,
well,
because
I
not
was really
everybody
lucky
clearly
because I
does
was
that.
raised around, you know, it in being raised with my grandma, I was in a kinship foster care and our foster agency, it was a private agency, did so much to counteract racism and sent me to a camp in Arizona called Camp Anytown, loved it. But it was very they called it a leadership camp, but I think that for so many reasons they didn't tell us what it actually was, but it was about cultural acceptance and diversity and learning about other cultures so that you could like put a face to the name. Because for so many white people, we didn't know a Jewish person. We didn't know a Buddhist person or, you know, a Middle Eastern person or a gay person. You know, like the most homophobic woman in my family, my aunt, turned out to be gay, came out in her 40s. Weird. You know what I mean? But like we didn't see that shit before. So I was very lucky in the exposure that I got because I was able to like see like this is not okay. And it got to where like everyone knew you're not allowed to say the N-word around me, like, whatever, in my family. I don't really talk to anyone's other ones that are alive still anymore anyway, but as, like, a young adult, I just was like, "Well, that's not how I feel, so don't say that shit in front of me." You know what I mean? But I was lucky because it was the foster care agency. So when are you kinda new into this whole pivot of, like, living your dreams, speaking your truth, like, all of that?
Yeah, I would say, it started for me after my grandfather passed away in 2020 due to COVID.
Uh-huh,
I always knew that when my grandfather passed away, my paternal grandmother, that it's always death, right? Death causes the family drama and shit hits the fan and it all falls apart.
uh-huh,
Um, So yeah, I mean, situations happen after that. Basically was attacked again, and I just finally, at this point in my life, I finally had enough courage to say enough. I did make a choice, and I'll highlight this because I want people to. I don't. I have a hard time for me. Like I don't give myself grace. Right. I always feel like even if you make the right decision, you have to do it a certain way. So I felt like, oh, they probably think I'm a punk because I just blocked them and I didn't tell them off and tell them exactly what they needed to hear. But I really made a choice to protect my peace. And I
yeah,
just said, you know what? I don't have to argue with you. You can think and feel what say, do whatever the fuck you want to. It means nothing to me because your opinion about me is not a fact. It's how you feel about me. And that has nothing to do with me. That's your
and
problem.
nothing, exactly.
So I blocked the majority of them. They no longer have access to me. Honey, not only did I block them, I changed my phone number, I changed my cell phone provider. I-
Good.
this is all new. So yeah, I would say in the past 5 years, I still have a lot more work to do. I still have issues
Don't
with
we all?
people pleasing for sure. You know, nobody's perfect, but I still want to be stronger in defining my boundaries and speaking up. But yes, I'm new in it, but I'm getting better each and every day.
Well, I'm going to tell you what someone told me a couple weeks ago on this show. Her name is Erica Ballard. Um, I was talking about an interaction with this fucking bitch who worked at a school that I worked at. And I was playing around with a student one day and she came and fucking berated me in front of everyone. She's an old ass fucking boomer and I fucking cannot stand boomers. They feel so entitled to just cut you down right where you are no matter what, right? So she did that and I took it because people pleasing, and she was older than me, and I just paralyzed. Like I'm a freezer in conflict like that, unless it's people I'm close to, and then I'm gonna go ham in a way that I'm ashamed of. Like there's no balance, whatever. I mean, now I would probably respond to either case differently, but at the time I was still very deep in my people pleasing. So I was talking to this girl about it, and I said that I had for some reason that morning, that interaction had been playing in my mind. And I was thinking, I would tell that bitch now, blah, blah, blah. And maybe I would still. But what she said was, I'm going to challenge you here because I think that you're in that strong women do this thing. And you're holding yourself to like a perfectionist standard there that you're not even seeing because strong women can be strong in lots of ways. It's just as much strength to decide to protect your peace as it is to cuss someone out. Like either is okay, but we don't have to shame yourself for any response like that. Like you did what you felt you needed to do in that moment. And maybe you'd make the same choice now. Maybe you'd make a different one. Maybe you'd even just go somewhere in the middle and be like, you know what? Respond, but not like cussing her out the way I really felt like I wanted to. And I think that's truly, I know that I talked about this when I was on your show, but truly getting to a place where we can offer ourselves all of that compassion is the key because that's how you can start to offer other people too. The way that you have compassion for your dad, if you can remember that, like, that's the compassion you need too. And we will find ourselves holding other people to the same standards that we hold ourselves to. And I remember thinking, like, any argument or whatever, because I'm a fight for justice kind of gal. Like, it's going to be fair. If I get fucked, you're getting fucked. And I just don't care. Like, I will not care how unhealthy or toxic that is. It's going to be fair. I'm not really like this anymore, but that's really how I was for so many years. But I will find myself in the patterns of like, but so I'm the only one to suffer here because what? I'm going to like be the bigger person. And I don't look at things like that anymore, but I will be like, how much peace is this worth? Like, what do I want to give this energy? Whatever. And then I'm going to move on from it. But sometimes I would get pissed still because I'd be like, but where's the accountability in that? And I think that's when I realized I'm holding myself to that same cross because where's the accountability if I'm not going to beat myself up and make myself feel like a piece of shit? And accountability isn't that. That's just shame, guilt, blame, hatred, toxicity. Accountability is just the acknowledgement that, like, I don't necessarily like the way I responded to that. And is there a way that I could feel better after an interaction next time? And just kind of slowly processing that and moving. And then the next time, I'm going to respond a little closer to that version of me that I want to be, and a little closer the next time. I still fly off the handle, like if my daughter gets me a little too pissed off, I'm still be like, go to your fucking room. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Get the fuck out of my room. Whatever it is. I mean, I'm still going to be a bitch sometimes. But I think that was really key for me was releasing those expectations for myself and just deciding I'm going to love the shit out of myself no matter what, because that's the only way we can receive that feeling from others too. that's the energy we're going for, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell the listeners about your show.
So my show is called Cultivation with Kevie, and it was born during COVID. Um, it basically is me talking to people about what they've been through and how they overcame it, learning from their insights, sharing their story. I'll be honest with you here. I've always been inspired by Oprah. Um, what she presents to the world, I'll say. Who knows about
Yeah,
how
yeah,
she
yeah.
really
No,
is.
me too.
But, so her channel, OWN, she had a show on there, and I don't remember what it's called, but she interviews people, or actually, I don't know if she really interviews them or it's just them telling their story, and basically, the show starts off with I think it says everybody has a story or every life has a lesson or something like that, but it just really stuck with me, and I'm like, "That's so true." We all have a story, and I'm always just wanting to talk to people about what they've been through, and like, I'm that person that I don't do small talk, like, let's get to the deep shit, like, let's be
Mhm.
real here, like, like, I'm just gonna jump all in, so
Same.
that's me, so, it's basically just me learning from others and also, like, kind of sharing my experiences and what I've learned from them to help other people. It's a play on the word cultivation spelled with a K, so that's my show.
I love that. And I feel like our shows are so similar. Because, like, I'm getting to the point where I'm being really honest about the fact that, like, no, really, my show's about me. It's about me because I'm still on a journey for the rest of my life to continue to grow and evolve. And if an expert comes on, I'm going to tap into them as a resource. If I feel like I can contribute in a meaningful way, then I do. Sometimes I'm just a student of life though. And but like it really is about what I want to learn and take away. Do you have trouble? Like, I don't have a lot of people in my personal life that I talk to anymore because if it can't be like this, it's not for me. I don't want small talk. I just fucking don't. And I never really liked it, but now I understand why. It's just irky to my spirit, and I don't wanna and I did it before just to prove that I could be a chameleon and be whatever the person in front of me needed me to be, and that I was fun and could be the life of the party. I don't want any of that. I want deep shit, and so I think that's why I love having a podcast so much because every conversation means so much. Do you, like, have, like, a close, like, people in your personal, like, life that you have these conversations with too?
I do. I'm blessed to have no, I don't have a big circle, but like you said, like I was talking earlier about wanting to be popular and wanting to heal, like that part of me that didn't open up to people and just wanted to be more noticed. I realized that you don't have to be you don't have to be Mr. Popular or have all these people. If you have like a few or even one, or just, I mean, just one person in your life that you can talk to, you're blessed. So I have two cousins that I like run everything by. They will get all this work. They don't judge me. I'm so blessed to have them. My mother as well. Um, yeah, I'm blessed that I do have people, but I'm like you. Like I don't keep a lot of people. I'll say that. Like I go through phases of. I'm a travel nurse by trade, so I meet a lot of people and I make a lot of great connections, but they don't always last. But sometimes
Yeah.
I'm realizing that it's seasonal, and
Yeah.
um, it's just about where you're at in your life, proximity, like you're going through something with them, and sometimes when you move on to that next chapter, they don't go with you, and that's okay. Um, yeah, I love
Yeah.
the podcast arena of having these type of conversations and learning from people is definitely like more of my speed. Like I really want to know like what you have, and sometimes it's almost like like, I don't wanna offend anybody or be, like, nosy or whatever, but I wanna know, like, what the fuck you've overcome and how you
No, yeah.
and it's not from an or from a place of, like, just being nosy, it's from how can I apply it to my life and help other people, because there's people
Exactly.
that go through some crazy shit that you'd never know about, and it's like, how did they overcome that? Like, how did they find the strength or even the grace to just, to just get up the
Yeah,
next day? So, yeah.
because there are people who don't know how to overcome what's happening in their life right fucking now.
Yeah.
And if anybody finds themselves in that place of profound darkness that I was in just 2 years ago, I mean, my God, we're almost October. Like literally 2 years ago, I want them to know it's not as hard as you think. It's not hopeless. Like there is the other side and it's just a couple of choices away. Like, but they feel like so close to one choice to end it all. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Like there's a way out of that. And you're gonna get so fucking happy that you actually feel grateful for that time in your life, like, that's possible too, and
Mhm.
it's not just
Mhm.
possible, it's the truth, it is the living truth, and you can get there. So I'm the same way, like, I hope that I have made it clear enough on my profile, like, "Don't come if you're not bringing your true shit," but there are people that I've been introduced to, and even I don't do a pre-meeting, so I have an episode right now I'm not going to air because the people were shitty, they were mean girls and I didn't like them, so I'm just not going to air it, like, period. But that doesn't happen very often because most people are ready to come and bring who they are so that we are all so tied in this mission to help others, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mhm.
I feel like most podcasts, even if they're funny or whatever, I feel like most of us have that same desire to be seen and to want to help in some, whether it's to make someone laugh or to give them hope or whatever it is. I
Absolutely.
love the podcast community, man.
It's great.
Yeah. Well, where can we find you?
So I have a website, www.keviethedreamer.com, where you will get all of my episodes are on there. I'm in the process of updating, so there will be a lot more content to come. So there will be some merch as well. You can follow me on social media at Kevie the Dreamer. I'm most active on Instagram, but I'm pretty much everywhere. Um, think that's it.
Okay. Well,
Can't
I'll
think
make
of
sure I
anything
put all
else.
that in the show notes too. But thank you so much for coming on. I had such a good time with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Also, really quick, Melissa, I also want to highlight something you said earlier. Um,
Yeah.
I love, honestly, obviously, I love your honesty. And I just want to talk about, you talked about rejection for a bit. It is, sometimes it's hard to like put yourself out there and then to just be rejected. And it is like being in this space, it kind of does bring back some of those old wounds. But I think that when you, like you were talking about the podcasting community, when you align with those right people, it makes everything that you've been through everything that you've overcome and that you're going through and all of that, it makes it worth it. And it's just something that it doesn't define your worth. That's the big thing that I want people to know is if somebody doesn't see your worth, it doesn't mean that you don't have worth. It means that they don't see your worth. And that's a them problem. And a big thing that we do, especially me as a people pleaser, recovering people pleaser, I'll say, is making other people's problems my problems. We don't, this isn't an agency here. We don't have to adopt their shit. They have their
Right.
shit, we have our shit, and
Mhm.
you don't have to make other people's shit your shit. So,
Well, and you know what you just made me think of? And thank you for that. Like, I know I told you this before, and I say it all the time, but I really put it out to the universe, like, send me the people that are meant for me. So then how can I fucking get upset whenever
yeah,
it's like they're not meant for you? And they're not, and I
absolutely.
know that. And so that's why I
Absolutely.
moved through the rejections pretty easily, but there have been a couple that were a little tender, a little tender. Even those bitches that I had on my show that were fucking mean, like, that one got me a little bit because I
Yeah.
was already feeling a little insecure that day because I started my period that morning. I had no makeup on. My hair was in a messy bun. Like, I'm okay showing up however the fuck I have the energy to show up. But that
Mhm.
day, they were dressed cute and whatever, and they were acting like weird about it. And I was like, okay, what? But I was not like feeling my best. So
Yeah.
it got me a little bit.
Mhm.
Fuck them.
Yeah, like, you don't have to make other people's shit your shit, and, like you said, like, sometimes when you ask for something, it's like, be careful what you ask for, which it's
Hmm.
not a bad thing, I don't wanna say it like that, but it's like, sometimes what comes with that, like you said, like, finding your people, you will have rejection that comes with that because it's a process of
Yes.
finding those people that aligns. And I go through rejection too, like trying to pitch to people to be on my show. I get rejected all the time or get ghosted or, left on scene, whatever. So actually, it's funny that you talked about that because I actually am releasing an episode on rejection soon. Um, because it's a big theme of my life that I'm just trying to overcome. So yeah,
Yes,
you
I
just
knew I felt the need to talk about that for some reason. I'm
you just
serious because I just go with whatever's, like, coming up for me right then, you know?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, we just gotta love ourselves through it, like you said, like, we gotta just
Exactly.
love
'Cause no, it
ourselves as
truly
we
and we
are.
know it's not
Mhm.
about us. We know that.
Yeah,
But, my whole understanding of what this human experience is supposed to be is to be rooted in the human experience while being tethered to something bigger than yourself.
yeah,
But those roots mean sometimes my human ass is gonna feel a little funky about the
yeah,
rejection. And I have
mhm,
great tools for it now, but
yeah,
I wanna stay very open about the fact that, like, as confident as I am,
mhm,
I still face rejection and it still bugs a bit sometimes. So, like, it's important that we stay authentic to ourselves and for people to hear, like,
yeah.
you don't get a day where you wake up and you go, nothing fucking bothers me anymore, ever. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
I do wish that, I do, but it's like they say, you don't grow from sunshine and rainbows, so,
Mm,
we learn our greatest lessons through those rejections, so
mhm.
well, awesome. Well, I really appreciate you, and, I hope we will continue to stay connected.
Yeah.
I really enjoy you and this connection.
Likewise, thank you so much for having me, I really appreciate the work you do, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much, Melissa.
Absolutely. Okay, you know to stay around for a sec, right?
Yes.
Thanks for coming to Emotionally Unavailable. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share.